Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I want to share something that's been on my mind lately, and that's how to stay connected to yourself when everything around you feels like it's changing. Maybe it's a transition at work, or a new chapter in your life, or just the pace of everything getting faster. A lot of people say change is the new constant, change is exciting. Yes, it's true, but it can also leave you feel like it you are dealing with a lot, but it's not going anywhere. That's why I want to talk about this book I recently read. It's called The Book of Alchemy: A Creative Practice for an Inspired Life. It came out earlier this year in 2025 by Seleka Jawad. I always like reading. It's how I reset and make sense of things. But most of the time, I keep what I read to myself because reading for me has always been a private experience. This one book felt different. It's about noticing how small, deliberate acts of awareness can bring rhythm back to your life. Whether you're dealing with change, stress, or just the weight of ordinary routines. It helped me see when life feels uncertain, you can still find stability not by doing more, but by paying closer attention to what's already there in you. So, a few days ago, I was talking to one of my friends. I asked her how she has been recently, and she said, it's been crazy. Every day feels the same. I knew exactly what she meant because I want to say the same thing to her. That's what life often looks like when you are in a period of transition. We go from one thing to another, always moving, full and busy, but you're rarely landing. And maybe that's why this book felt so important to talk about right now. Because we can't always slow things down, but we can stop rushing past them. We can start paying attention again. So there is a line in Seleka's book that I really like. She said, maybe you can't write hundreds of words, but you can find 10 images from the last day. For most of our days, we don't have the time or energy for great creative ideas, but we can still notice, we can collect the small pieces that make up our day. It could be something like a conversation that made you laugh. It could be the sound of the rain on your window or the way someone said your name. Those details might not seem like a lot, but together they bring your life back into focus. Once you start noticing, being present enough to see what's already there, everything starts to feel different. That's what she calls an alchemy. It means turning your ordinary days into something meaningful through awareness. So, what I love about this book is that it doesn't give you a magic formula for creativity. It gives you a way to live with more awareness. She writes very openly about her illness, her recovery, what it meant to live a creative life when your energy, your plan, and the sense of control keeps changing. She reminds me that creativity isn't just for artists, it's something that belongs to everybody who pays attention to the world. Things like writing, cooking, talking to a friend, or walking through your neighborhood, all of it can be creative if you approach it with attention. One question she asks is something like, what is something you've started doing every day, and what brought you back when you stopped? When we all try to keep up with the change in work or in life, in how we define ourselves, we started something and then drop them. We lose our focus and then try to find it again. I think this book offers a way to do it. The way is to return. You keep coming back to small acts of care over and over until they stay with you. That's how you live through change without losing yourself. So after I read this book, I started to think if this could something that I can apply to myself. What I decided to do is to follow a 30-day practice. Instead of trying 10 things a day, I tried one small thing a day. Something Like I would make tea and sat down to drink it in the morning before checking work messages. Or I will go for a walk after a lunch and pay attention to how the air feels. Some of the other days I call a friend who I meant to reach out to, and that conversation could change the tone of my week. And that was also some days I could wear something I feel extremely comfortable with, and some other days I could cook something simple and healthy like a warm soup. And for the first time of a week, I sat down at the table eating without multitasking. I didn't follow the routines perfectly. Some days I just skipped them. In the book, she also asked, like, when you missed a day, what called you back? The point, it wasn't to do everything every single day. It was to keep returning and rebuilding through small things. And by the end of the month, I could tell something had already changed. When I did these things with attention, even small ordinary routines felt like they belonged to me again. A few weeks into this, I noticed there are moments when I got completely absorbed what I was doing. Things like cooking, reading, writing, even just reorganizing my desk. For a while, time stopped feel like something I had to manage. I think this is what's Leica called feeling home. She asked, like, what is the activity or the place that makes you forget about time? When you find something that makes you lose track of time, pay attention to it. Those moments will tell you what matters. So after a month, nothing major really changed in my life, but how I experienced my days felt completely different. I stopped treating time as something I need to rush to get through. I started recognizing what gave me energy and also what made me feel bored and tired. So I kept making adjustment and come back to the small things that remind me of where I am especially when work got chaotic or life felt unpredictable. When you give your attention to one thing a day, you begin to see how much life is already giving you back. So before we end, here's what I realized. Our life moves fast. Our work changes. People change. We all change. Some moments we'll never get it back. But when you know what you notice will stay with you. Those details becomes the memory of how you lived. So keep something nearby, like a notebook or a note app, anything that lets you write one thing down a day. By the end of the month, take a look, you will see a story there. That's what everyday alchemy really means. And as we head into November, I already have a list of things I would like to try every day. And at the end of the month, I would like to take a look and see what stayed with me and what changed along the way. Maybe you will try it too for yourself. And one thing a day, that's enough to get started. So thank you so much for listening. If this speaks to you, please share it with someone who might need the same reminder. So I'll see you next time. Bye.